Hi! I'm starting a new series of video tutorials, Card Making 101 for Beginners. Very excited about this because there are people who are new, brand new, they've never made a card in their life who are finding my videos. And we don't want to leave them behind, so we'll cover the basics and make cards that are fast yet fabulous that even my experienced stampers will love. And today I'll be using the Layering Leaves stamp set. Come and join me. Today's demonstration is going to be different from anything I've ever done before. You're going to see every step of making my Layering Leaves card. I haven't prepared anything ahead of time. I'm Shelley Godby, and for 22 years, I've been teaching others how to create their own hand-stamped smiles as a demonstrator for Stampin' Up! And so this handmade card I'm about to demonstrate, well, I demonstrated in a class just recently, and I designed it for someone who had never stamped before, but my experienced stampers, they loved it too, and I'm sure you will also. Here's a closer view of the Layering Leaves stamp set I'll be using today to demonstrate how to make my handmade greeting card. Now, all the products you'll see me using are Stampin' Up! Products. Why? Well, one, because I'm a demonstrator for Stampin' Up!, but more importantly, I am a demonstrator for Stampin' Up! Because they have, and you may think this is a biased opinion, I don't, the best products for card making. And one thing is, their stamp sets, these images are all exclusive to them. They have their own artists who make so many wonderful products for us. Elegant, cutesy, just everything for every personality. So before we do anything, I told you I don't have anything prepared. We need to cut all of the paper. And for that, I'll need my paper trimmer. So I have the paper trimmer turned sideways so you can see the whole thing. And with this, you can cut up to 12 by 12 paper with the blades either all the way at one end or the other, or separated. What's nice about being able to have them all at one end to cut a full sheet is I can get that running start and I don't have to keep moving them out of my way. It's a fantastic feature. Okay, so let me go ahead and turn it this way. And what I have here is a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 Lost Lagoon cardstock. So I was telling you that everything I'm using is a Stampin' Up! Product. Not only is this cardstock from Stampin' Up!, they have their own exclusive colors where everything coordinates. Cardstock, look at this, will coordinate with the ink pad for a beautiful look. It's just when everything coordinates, it's finished and very pleasing to the eye. So I can cut this cardstock in one of two ways. Because out of one sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock, we get 2 card bases, the most popular size. So I could cut it in half lengthwise and have a card that would fold in half like this and open either from the side or the bottom. But I'm going to cut it the long way and our card will open from the bottom. I guess you could decide, but all right, so let's go ahead and do that. So I need to pick this up, and what I found the easiest thing to do is if I push on this, one of the ends, makes that edge pop right up. So I'm gonna place this, remember this is 8.5 by 11, so I'm cutting on the 8.5 mark. So half of 8.5 is 4 1/4. Here's the 4-inch mark, here's the 5. Halfway in between is 4 1/2. So halfway between 4 1/2 and 4 is 4 1/4. We're going to put our cardstock right on the line, not next to it, but right on it. I don't want to see the line. You can follow all the way down. The line goes the whole way and make sure you're still lined up. But what's easy is you butt it up against here. Okay, you don't want to try to, I mean, you could, but then when you move the blade, you've got this edge to butt it up to. So we're going to put it on there. Look all the way down. See, I just made a little adjustment because when I looked all the way down, close this, and then this dark cutting blade, the dark blade is the cutting blade. So I'm just going to right along in that track. And now I have my card base and actually 2 card bases. We're not done with the paper trimmer. What we need to do next is score the line, because if I try folding this without this score line, which puts a crease in it, it's not a good look. It's crinkly. All right, so what we're gonna do is pick this up again. There we go. Now this is 11 inches and I want to score this in half. So here's 5. What I didn't show you on this is how you can do the 12 by 12. This arm comes out. There we go. I don't do 12 by 12 very much, line that long, but that comes out, okay? So we can just fold that back in. But I need to place this, if I want to score the 11 inch in half, at 5.5. So we've got 5, 6, and I showed you the half between the 4. So again, right on the line, not next to it. And look, I can even follow in the arm. Okay, remember, the dark is the cutting, the light is the scoring, and I can go from either direction. And that puts that crease in there. So now I'll be able to get a great fold that we'll do in just a bit. Now we've got more cardstock to get ready. And so I have a sheet of 8.5 by 11 basic white cardstock. And our white and vanilla cardstock, very special. Both have a smooth, tight finish to give you crisp, clean images. You don't want to skimp on your white cardstock. So we're gonna cut it. So I need 2 things out of this. We'll pick that up. What I'm gonna cut right now will be for the inside. You could stamp right on here and write, but 2 reasons. Especially for darker, it's just not the easiest for some people to read, right? And if we're going to make a card, we want them to be able to read the message, and it will look finished. All right, so we're going to go ahead. There we go. We've got that. So now, because I'm going 1/4 inch less for the inside, so that's why I did 4, because this is 4 1/4. It'll look framed. And then it was 5.5, so now I'm stepping down to 5 1/4. There we go. And we'll cut that. So now this will be for the inside of our card. And when you join my mailing list, I have a PDF absolutely for free when you join it for you to download with measurements. So now we need to be able to stamp, right? I've got this lovely leaf stamp set. Well, I need to stamp. So this is 5.5 already. I need this next piece to be 2 3/4. So we have the half and the 3. So halfway between a half and the full number will be the 1/4. All right. And then cut again. So we'll be stamping on this. All right, I have 1 more piece. 2 more. All right, so what I have here is some designer series paper. That's what Stampin' Up! Calls their background paper. And they're double-sided. So you get 2 to pick from, and this is a 6 by 6 pack. Most of it comes in 12 by 12, some of it's 6 by 6. Beautiful coordinating papers. And then here's the back side of all of these. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous as I drop them. Okay, so let me grab the one we're using today. Now I'm going to be strategic in how I cut this because I know I want to make more than one of these cards. This piece is going to go from edge to edge on here. So it's going to be 4 1/4 wide by 2.5. So I could just cut it at 2.5, but then I'll be cutting off another small piece. So look, this is what we're going to do instead. Because like I said, I know I want to do more. I'm going to start with the 4 1/4, and we just did that, right? Okay, and then we'll cut that. Now this leaves me a nice strip to be able to do a different card later instead of a whole bunch of little ones. Now I'll pick this back up and we'll cut this at 2.5. So here's 2, halfway between is 2.5. I've got it butted up against there, following this down and cut. Now, remember the scoring? I want to score this. So I'm going to, at the 2 inch mark, pick this up again, place this at 2 inches, because we're going to use both sides. This is really cool. We're going to be able to show off both sides. So I've got that crease in there. One more thing to cut. Remember the rest of this piece? Well, Normally I would go to my scraps, but we're going to go ahead and pick this up. Hey, and we're going to use that arm. Let's go ahead and put this arm out because I need a 3/4 inch piece. So there's 2 ways to do that. I know this is 11 inches long. I can step back to 10 1/4. Okay. Or I can come over here because I've got this nice long on this side and put this at, you know what? We're just going to do it the other way. How would I do that? 3/4. Oh, because there's 1. I'm all right. Ha! Here's how. We'll set this on 3/4. Had a moment, right? And see, this can just go out of our way. It doesn't hurt going over it. And now we've got a 4 1/4 by 2 3/4. So either way, you can come from this side and measure in, or come all the way out here and then cut it off. It just depends on what I'm doing, which way I go. All right, so now we're ready to do some stamping and assemble. So now everything is cut. I forgot to mention the way I cut that 6x6 designer series paper, I'm able to get 2 of these and still have this strip left over. This is a really popular size for card making. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with, remember that score line, that crease. We're going to look at that fold. Isn't that sweet? I go ahead and line up the edges, because I'm human and I cut it. So I just want to make sure I got it right in half. So what I have here is a bone folder, and this is going to, here, right over this, get that crisp fold. Look at that. Fantastic. And we have a score line or crease in here too. So I'm going to fold this up. There we go. It's nice and straight. And then with the bone folder, give it a crisp fold too. Okay, we will be stamping on this, so I'll set this aside for the moment. So we're going to do a little bit of our assembly. And this piece, well, that's for the inside. So look how that'll be framed around there. It looks very nice. And if you're going to stamp a sentiment on it, I do that before I put it in, because yeah, once it's glued down, we can get it back up, but it's a lot easier to do it and then put it in. And so, but I'm leaving this one blank so we can write a handmade message. All right, so what I have here is the Stampin' seal. And this is a very good adhesive when everything is flat. And I always put the adhesive on the piece I'm about to layer to. If I put it in here, I may go over too far and we'll have a sticky mess. So see where this is a little opaque? I put my finger there. Whoops, sometimes I need to get this started, but that's okay. There we go. And I find 1 inch in each corner most of the time is plenty. And then we'll put this in here. That's looking oh so nice. I make sure it's where I want it, and then I press. You can move it around. All right, so our inside is all done. Then we have this decorative piece. Now this is to dress it up even a little bit more. Isn't that pretty in there? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put adhesive on here. And there's not a right or wrong side on this. The designer series paper, there would be. But because I've got that, and I just told you I find 1 inch in each corner to be ample. Not on this. That's a lot of pressure. And so I designed this to make it super easy. We'll butt it up to that crease. And then fold this over. Now, some people like to spare every bit of cardstock they can, and I respect that. And they would cut this piece a little bit smaller than I did, but then you've got to try to hope that you get it even, and a lot of fussing. There's very, very little waste with what I just showed you. All right, so now we're ready for the stamping part. The Layering Leaves stamp set is a photopolymer stamp set, meaning the rubber is clear. Stampin' Up! Carries stamps in 2 different styles, the photopolymer with the clear rubber and the cling with the red rubber. No matter which style you get, they're all unmounted. And so that saves money, which we all love to do, and a lot of space. Because when we used to have them mounted, the stamp sets took a lot more room and they weren't uniform like these cases are. And so the stamps always come on a sheet like this, and you can leave them on there, or you can put them right on the plastic with the insert. The insert is part of the design, so it's really cool to be able to find them. So I'm going to use two of these today. One will be these leaves, and the other, the sending hugs greeting. All right, so I had all of these greetings included. Now I placed this down because they're pliable. You can put them out of, you can change the shape to a degree. And so, but I want them to be just like they are. So I place this down so I'm not pulling on it without thinking about it. Press my clear mount block on there. And the same with my sending hugs. There we go. So now we're ready to stamp. And we cut the basic white cardstock. And I cut this extra long because we're going to be punching with the 2 3/8 punch. This gives me something else to hang on to. And I'll be able to do a second one. Aha. So the first color we're going to use is Pretty Peacock. Now our card base is Lost Lagoon. Our colors coordinate with each other beautifully. So these pads are a little different. Stampin' Up! Design them themselves. So you pick this lid up, see that? And then you push it in, you get that out of your way. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp, sending hugs, and I'm going for the center of this half, not the whole thing, but about the center. And just pressing straight up and down and get a beautiful image, which I didn't. I messed up. I moved it. So let's try it again. It happens. I've been doing this for 22 years and I just messed up. It happens. Okay, so I'm tapping on here, getting this full of ink. Come over here, and let's not move it this time. I was too busy talking and I moved it. Look at that. Gorgeous. That's what you want. So to close these, a little push, pull on that lip, and click. It is closed and it won't dry out on you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and punch, even though we're not done stamping yet. And I love our punches. You can do them upside down. So take both your thumbs, pick that up. It slides right open. And then we're going to take our cardstock, put it in here. I'm going to get it centered just where I want it. Looking good, right? And punch. Fantastic. And see, I can do one on the other side. All right. This is the beauty of photopolymer stamps because I want to make sure I'm right in that circle. And I thought if I stamped first, maybe it wouldn't be exactly where I wanted it. So now the Lost Lagoon that coordinates with our card base. Okay. And that color is in the designer series paper. I don't think I mentioned that everything coordinates, all of our colors. If you get ribbon and accessories and all that. So that's where this is so appealing to the eye because this Hello Irresistible paper has that in there. All right, so remember how to pick this up? So we're going to pick up, slide that in. Okay. Now I'm going to ink this up. Now, because I was designing and I know if I stamp this right now, it's going to be darker than I want it. I want the greeting to really stand out. So we're going to do a technique called stamping off. I'm going to come on a piece of scrap paper, stamp, see how dark that is? And then stamp again without re-inking. So I'm going to have the same color, but in a lighter version. Isn't that pretty? So we'll go ahead and push on this. Click, and I know that is closed. So now we're ready to assemble our handmade greeting card with the Layering Leaves stamp set. I mentioned I want to make several of my Layering Leaves cards. So I don't clean until I'm done. All right, so as long as I keep using the same color, I don't need to clean anything. But once my project's done, I need to clean my stamps so I can put them away. So what I have here in a clear mount case that you can order is the Simply Chamois. This is for cleaning the photopolymer stamp sets. Now it starts off this solid, lovely purple, this lavender, and then it gets ugly like this in a hurry, but it's just stained. It doesn't harm it. And so I just rub on here and it gets that off. It gets all of that off, all right? And after it's saturated and I have both sides, oh, look at that. I go to the kitchen sink and just under cool water, rinse it, squeeze it. You want to leave it damp, but not wet. Don't leave it sopping wet, because I tend to think if a little is good, more is better. Not the case. We'll leave it damp. And storing it in a clear mount case, it stays damp for a good while. All right. So then I was showing you earlier, because when you purchase clear mount stamp or clear mount blocks, we'll use those over and over and over. And we'll just put this back in. And we're ready to put away. Everything's where it belongs. And then you can do the assembly. Now all the measurements, I'm going to have a link to my blog post with the measurements and a PDF you can download with a picture of the card and the measurements, making it super easy for you to make this too. So we need back our card base in Lost Lagoon. All right, and we're going to flip this over. Back with our Stampin' Seal, our finger where it's a little opaque. And in each corner, there we go. Let me open this up. I want to make sure, I want to see that I'm going side to side. And I think from about right here, looks fantastic. Again, I don't press until I'm happy. I want to make sure I'm straight. That looks great. Okay, so for this, we could just put on with the seal, but the Stampin' Seal, I'm going to use, and I tease often, this is my favorite accessory. The Stampin' Dimensionals are awesome. These are, yeah, that's the back side. God gave us two sides of cardstock for a reason, right? These are foam adhesive dots. And so I'm going to pick these off. And 3, I think, will be good because I've got a circle here. And then they have this backing on, and that one already started, but sometimes they stay right on. So what I found is I just press with my thumbnail, makes the edge pop up, and really easy to get off. And so instead of just laying flat on there, this is going to give it a little bit of a lift, which adds a lot. It's a circle, but what I'm looking is make sure that my sending is in the right direction. So that's really pretty, but we're going to give it just a little bit of bling. And what I have for that, Rhinestone Basic Jewels. These are clear and oh so cool. And so to pick those off would be a little bit difficult. So I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. And you've got two choices, the spatula end, and this turns out, and then you have a paper piercing that you do different things with. So I like to, they come in couple different sizes. Use my little spatula, and I'm making that look oh so easy. So maybe we'll use the other end. It has, oh, I can't even think of what it is. Well, it holds on. I can't even think. But I put one right on that eye. How cute is that? All right, so press down. Yeah, I find it easier to press on these. There we go. It was just getting that little one going. And I'm going to come up over here. 1. Grandma always said to do things in odd numbers. Actually, I think these come in 3 sizes. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to come for another large one. Down here, 3. Now, I'm not going to count that one because it's just dotting the eye, but in odd numbers, and that is really pleasing to the eye, because in the past, I like things to be even, and my eyes couldn't settle, and I realized what the problem was. I added another one. Oh, okay, and there we go. And I was telling you, we have coordinating envelopes. These are basic white envelopes, and so you can stamp on here if you wanted. We had just cleaned and put away, but we could have stamped another leaf on here to keep it oh so coordinated, and that one I think I would have done full strength. And so there you go. Very simple, making a handmade greeting card, and I hope this was really helpful for you to walking through all the steps of cutting everything. And so, like I said, I'll have a link to my blog post so you can download a PDF of the picture of this card and the measurements. If you'd like to make my layering leaves card, all the supplies are listed below the video and available to order now in my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com. And if you're new to stamping or just new to my channel, I invite you to subscribe to the Stampers Insider. It's your free stamping source for inspiration, information, and ideas. Go now to www.thestampersinsider.com to subscribe. I'm Shelley Godby, teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.